First tonight on our news, live at 7, civil servants warned. Prime Minister Philip Davis looking to set a new tone for government workers, warning them to shape up or ship out. Plus, keeping an eye on gas prices. As tensions flare in the Middle East, gas retailers are watching for a possible spike in oil prices, what this could possibly mean for consumers straight ahead, and tapping into new source markets. The Ministry of Tourism is eyeing Canada as a new source market amid travel concerns. Our Jerome Sawyer is still in Canada tonight with the latest, and then in our news at 7:30. A former police corporal is unemployed and behind bars after being convicted of planning the murder of his love rival. We've got details from court proceedings. Our news live at 7 starts right now. Welcome to our news live at 7. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Berthany McDermott in for Candino Knowles. Public servants have been warned against dragging government process along as Prime Minister Philip Davis sought to make it clear his administration is about progress. As he addressed party supporters at a PLP rally for East New Providence constituencies, Davis condemned what he called slow response in government offices, telling public servants to get it done or step aside.
My administration has to deliver.
As he addressed the packed space filled with Progressive Liberal Party supporters Monday night, Prime Minister Philip Davis sent this stern warning to civil servants.
So if you are in the public service and you're holding up progress, I want you to hear me loud and clear. Brave say, take them files off them desks and let's deliver for the people of the Bahamas.
The Prime Minister was addressing a PLP rally at Charles Carter Park in Seabreeze Estates when he made the candid remarks. The political event brought together constituencies in the East, namely Seabreeze, Yamacraw, Fox Hill, and Elizabeth. The Prime Minister sought to make it clear that his party has more work to do ahead of the next general election, warning civil servants not to get in their way. Should they not, Davis said he stands ready to let public servants go.
I am fully prepared. I am fully prepared to move anyone or send home anyone who isn't getting the Bahamian people's work done. This government was elected to deliver, not to stall, not to delay, not to make excuses.
The Prime Minister said people are tired of talk and ready for action. He did mention that public servants keep the country going and that the government shows up to support them. He pointed to the 56 industrial agreements signed under his administration, adding that his administration carried out hundreds of promotions and paid civil servants what they were owed.
No excuses, no delays, no stalling. We owe the people progress, not stall paperwork. I want you all to hear me. I want you all to listen. Too many times, our people walk in the government's offices and get the same story. Come back next week. Wait on the next person. Check back after you process it. That has to stop.
And now to the ongoing tension in the Middle East. Just when you thought gas prices were starting to stabilize, global tensions could be pushing the prices back up. Despite talks of a ceasefire, a local gas retailer is warning that a conflict half a world away could mean higher prices here at home. Delvardo Emmanuel explains why.
Do you foresee a possible rise at the fuel pumps?
Let's hope not. If it rises here, it'll rise in America, it'll rise everywhere in the West, because, that's where our fuel come from.
That's longtime gas station operator Bernard Porky Dorset responding to growing concerns about a possible price hike at the pumps. According to some reports earlier this week, oil prices spiked to nearly $20 a barrel following a strike inside Iran. That raised fear of a wider conflict. The big fear, a potential disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, a tight, crucial shipping lane that moves nearly 20% of the world's oil. Dorset, who's been tracking the situation closely, says even the threat of blockage there is enough to make global markets jump.
We're talking about closing the Gulf of Hormuz, and that's where all the gas, that's where all the ships travel come through the Gulf. And they were talking about blockading that. I mean, that would, of course, maybe a major problem in supply,
While being optimistic, Dorset says what happens in the East quickly affects us here in the West. And if prices rise in America, it won't be long before we see it too.
I see where the Canadians have stopped sending Americans their fuel. So that in itself can be some kind of factor You know, the Canadians decide they can send the fuel to Russia and Europe and send it to the Chinese. So, you know, what's going on in the world is, you know, the whole world has gone crazy, and we just a part of it.
It's been a little over 7 months since petroleum dealers received an increase on gas margins, and Dorsett says they're just getting adjusted.
Those few cents, as little as they were, you know, they were, a lot of people were on, you know, were on the brink of, you know, going under. And, you know, that is somewhat helped a lot of dealers. A lot of them, when I talk to them, a lot of them feel a little more comfortable than they were, you know, so they're thankful for what happened. And hopefully we don't have to do that again.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Delvado Emmanuel.
Thanks, Delvado. Police over in Abaco are probing an alleged sexual assault. Initial reports say shortly after midnight on Monday, an American woman who is working on board a boat docked in Guanakee reported that she was assaulted by a man she met the day before. The woman reported she and the Caucasian man were at a restaurant and then left to go to a nearby beach. It was at that time the woman reported that the man became aggressive and sexually assaulted her. Investigations into this matter are ongoing. A woman is facing a murder charge after a shooting left a man dead. Prosecutors say 25-year-old Amir Thompson is responsible for the murder of 21-year-old Jared Evans on June 9th. The shooting happened outside of Tipsy's Bar on East Street and Cordo Avenue. Thompson surrendered to police on June 18th after a wanted poster was issued. Thompson didn't have to enter a plea to the charge when she stood before senior magistrate Shaka Serville. Bail was denied and Thompson returns to court on October 31st to receive voluntary bill of indictment papers. The Canadian market is looking more and more like the new tourist draw, as industry experts notice an uptick in bookings and interest. Already, it's gotten Canadian Airlines to add a lot more flights to several destinations. And it appears that a shift because of unpopular U.S. policies is pushing large numbers of Canadian tourists our way. This spike in numbers comes right on time for the ministry's global sales mission across Montreal and Toronto this week. Our News speaking with Tourism's General Manager of Sales in Canada, Michaela Moss, who says the shift is evident.
The interest increase has been evident by the airlines who have increased their airlift or announced the increase of their airlift come this winter. So we've seen our airline partners shift their aircraft into our destination, and that bodes well for making sure that our airlift is full of tourists this winter coming down from multiple gateways, not just Toronto and Montreal, but also Ottawa and Halifax this year, which is huge for the destination. I believe that there will be more increase in interest because we are so close to Canada, less than 3 hours away. Most Canadians don't book 7 months in advance to come to the Bahamas. It might end up being 30 days out.
While speaking to French-Canadian travel agents Monday, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper used the opportunity to recognize those things the Bahamas recognizes are important to Canadian travelers.
The great news is that Canadians love the Bahamas. Our research tells us that you are staying longer, you are indeed coming more often, and we want to ensure tonight that you are visiting more islands. And that's why we're here. We want you to recognize that we are a small country. We know you like adventure, so we are consistently improving what we do in this space. We know that you are sensitive to the environment. You love sustainability and ecotourism. So we are creating more opportunities to celebrate where you are in this space.
Later in our news at 7:30, our Jerome Sawyer looks at how the Ministry of Tourism is using the timing of the sales mission to go after that Canadian market. It's time now for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson, he's standing by in the Weather Center. Greg.
Yeah, thanks, personally. A breezy, well, slightly cooler evening on the outside. We did have that breeze all day. 84 degrees is our current temperature. And it is feeling a little more comfortable. East-northeast winds, 50 miles per hour, but it feels like temperature is still hanging up there in the upper 80s. Temperatures around the islands right now, it is 84 in Freeport, Great Harbour Key here in the capital, Alistown, Bimini, Nicholstown, Andros. We pick up 83s in Marsh Harbour, Abaco, also in Governor's Harbour. And you see the temperatures change there just now. Central Bahamas, 84, Kemps Bay, we pick up 83. Black Point, Exuma, Georgetown. 82 in Arthurstown, Cat Island, Deadman's Key, Long Island, Port Nelson, 84, 81 in Coburn Townsend, Salvador, and into the southeast Bahamas, all in the low 80s, with 83 in Duncantown, Ragged Island. We pick up 81s, Colonel Hill, Crooked Island, Delectable Bay, Abrahams Bay. 84s, Matthewtown, Renagua, and our neighbors to the southeast, Turks and Caicos Islands. You are also 84 at this hour. Satellite radar composite. We have a little bit more instability in the atmosphere. We have an upper level low that's spinning just to the northeast of us. That's going to be dropping into our area. And that's actually going to be pulling in some moisture across us. So we saw quite a bit of activity across the open waters. Most of the activity will be staying in that location, Grand Bahama, Bimini. You saw a couple of thunderstorms earlier. We are looking for some more showers in forecast as this upper level low helps to destabilize our atmosphere for the remainder of the week. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. A look at your extended forecast is still to come.
Coming up in sports, it is 100 degrees here in New York City, and that would have been the lead story if VJ Edgecombe wasn't getting drafted. We'll fill you in on the latest.
Are you ready? This hurricane season faced the fury head-on. RTV's Storm Navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
My name is Troy Williams. I've been a Live Fiber customer since March 2024. The installation process was seamless, effortless, and extremely fast. The gentlemen that came to the installation were very helpful, reliable, very knowledgeable, and the time allocated to do the installation was shorter than the time specified. Yeah, the previous provider I had, I noticed that the internet speed actually had intermittent on my services, so I was very grateful that the live fiber was available in my area. Once I was able to make the switch, my service and everything I needed was satisfied. My favorite feature would actually be being able to add any apps from the Play Store. It's just basically making any dumb TV a smart TV. I do a lot of back-end support, engineering support, helping clients working remotely when I'm from home. The internet is a very important aspect of my job and my life. My name is Trey Williams, and the future is home with a live fiber.
When the winds rise and the storm threatens, are you ready? This hurricane season faced the fury head-on. RTV's Storm Navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
Get ready for the new Charlie Banana Show. That's right, banana, B-A-N, Nana. You know how to spell banana. You know, right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212 every Friday night.
It's the Charlie Bahamas Show. It's the season rewind of the Charlie Bahamas Show right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212. Ain't no bananas in this, except he did try to get on the show. Hey, where'd you get this outfit from?
Your closet.
When the
Welcome to Our Sports at 7, presented by 10th Year Seniors. I'm Ronaldo Dorset. Let's do show. 10YS is here on location at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn to witness history tomorrow night as VJ Edgecombe becomes the latest Bahamian drafted into the NBA.
Edgecombe discussed the gravity of the moment at his pre-draft media availability earlier today.
Yeah, I think it means a lot. It's showing that other kids can make it out. That's the main thing. Just telling kids that they can have confidence and showing them that once you have confidence and once you have faith in your work, it's all going to plan out.
The dynamic guard out of Baylor is expected to hear his name called very early on draft night, making him the fourth Bahamian selected within the last decade.
Anthea Charlton had a 2025 season that announced her presence to the world stage. The next logical step, head to that stage and compete against the pros.
Charlton has reportedly signed to Preeminent Sports Group, marking the end of her collegiate eligibility. She delivered a breakout 2025 season for the Florida Gators, setting multiple school and national records, including a blistering 10.87 seconds in the 100 meters, making her the second fastest Bahamian ever.
National team standout Tavario Miller continues his season in Argentina, and his team is facing an uphill battle in the semifinals.
Miller and Kiesma lost the first game of the La Liga National semifinals to Boca 70-58. He finished with 8 points and a team high 10 rebounds. After finishing the season as the 4th seed, Kisma defeated Obrus in a 3-game sweep in the quarterfinals. Miller averaged 11.5 points and 6.5 rebounds per game this season.
That'll do it for our sports. Stay tuned to our news at 7:30 for details on these stories and more.
When our news comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world. As U.S. President Donald Trump voiced displeasure with Israel, saying both Tel Aviv and Tehran violated a ceasefire agreement. Plus, NATO opens a key summit in the Netherlands for the future of collective defense in Europe. It comes after the U.S. pushed for allied countries to increase their military investment. And Tropical Storm Andrea becomes the first tropical storm of the Atlantic hurricane season after it formed early Tuesday morning. Its path and what experts are saying about the system when our news returns.
When the winds rise and the storm threatens, are you ready? This hurricane season faced the fury head-on. RTV's storm navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
Get ready for the new Charlie Banana Show. That's right, banana, B-A-N, Nana. You know how to spell banana. You know, right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212 every Friday night.
It's the Charlie Bahamas Show. It's the season rewind of the Charlie Bahamas Show right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212. Ain't no bananas in this, except he did try to get on the show. Hey, where'd you get this outfit from?
Your closet.
When the winds rise and the storm threatens, are you ready? This hurricane season faced the fury head-on. RTV's storm navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
My name is Troy Williams. I've been a Live Fiber customer since March 2024. The installation process was seamless, effortless, and extremely fast. The gentlemen that came to the installation were very helpful, reliable, very knowledgeable, and the time allocated to do the installation was shorter than the time specified. Yeah, the previous provider I had, I noticed that the internet speed actually had intermittent on the services, so I was very grateful that the live fiber was available in my area. Once I was able to make the switch, my service and everything I needed was satisfied. My favorite feature would actually be being able to add any apps from the Play Store. It's just basically making any dumb TV a smart TV. I do a lot of back-end support, engineering support, helping clients working remotely when I'm from home. The internet is a very important aspect of my job and my life. My name is Troy Williams, and the future is home with a live fiber.
This is our news. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. U.S. President Donald Trump voicing displeasure with Israel, saying both Tel Aviv and Tehran violated a ceasefire agreement. The ceasefire between Israel and Iran came into effect on Tuesday morning, ending the 12-day war. The ceasefire was initially announced by Trump, who said it would involve a phased halt to operations. However, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz ordered his army earlier Tuesday to launch intense strikes on Tehran, claiming that Iran violated the truce. Iran denied the claim, vowing a resolute response to any new strikes. Trump spoke to reporters at the White House before departing for the NATO summit in the Netherlands, noting that he needs to get Israel to calm down.
They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Questioning if Israel is committed.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land, I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also known as NATO, opened a key summit in the Netherlands for the future of collective defense in Europe. The meeting comes amid direct pressure from the U.S. for allied countries to increase their military investment to 5% of their gross domestic product. The United States, which covered 62% of the alliance's total spending in 2023, is demanding greater European commitment in the face of threats such as the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the recent escalation between Iran and Israel. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte endorsed the proposal as a historic leap, emphasizing that its implementation would increase the alliance's air defense capabilities fivefold. And Tropical Storm Andrea became the first tropical storm of the Atlantic hurricane season after it formed earlier Tuesday morning. The tropical storm is expected to be short-lived. Andrea was forecast to weaken Tuesday night and dissipate by Wednesday night. There were no watches or warning in effect, and the U.S. National Hurricane Center said there are no hazards affecting land. Andrea was projected to continue moving to the east-northeast through Wednesday. Still to come in our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was June 24th. And then in our news at 7:30, details from New York. Our news digital reporter Timothy Bain is in one of the U.S. cities placed on high alert amid rising tension in the Middle East. We hear his first-hand account from the Big Apple. And a taste of the Bahamas moves to Canada. How the Ministry of Tourism looks to increase heads and beds from that region. The details when our news returns.
When the winds rise and the storm threatens, are you ready? This hurricane season, face the fury head-on. RTV's Storm Navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
Get ready for the new Charlie Banana Show. That's right, banana, B-A-N, Nana. You know how to spell banana. You know, right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212 every Friday night.
It's the Charlie Bahamas Show. It's the season rewind of the Charlie Bahamas Show right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212. Ain't no bananas in this, except he did try to get on the show. Hey, where'd you get this outfit from?
Your closet.
When the winds rise and the storm threatens, are you ready? This hurricane season, face the fury head-on. RTV's Storm Navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
My name is Troy Williams. I've been a live fiber customer since March 2024. The installation process was seamless, effortless, and extremely fast. The gentlemen that came to the installation were very helpful, reliable, very knowledgeable, and the time allocated to do the installation was shorter than the time specified. Yeah, the previous provider I had, I noticed that the internet speed actually had intermittent on my services, so I was very grateful that the live fiber was available in my area. Once I was able to make the switch, my service and everything I needed was satisfied. My favorite feature would actually be being able to add any apps from the Play Store. It's just basically making any dumb TV a smart TV. I do a lot of back-end support, engineering support, helping clients working remotely when I'm from home. The internet is a very important aspect of my job and my life. My name is Troy Williams, and the future is home with a live fiber.
Yo, what's good, my loyal viewers? Ronaldo Dorset of 10YS here. First of all, thanks so much for watching, but be sure to hit that follow button. If you'd like to see more content like this, follow all of the R News social media pages, and of course, don't forget to turn on your notifications so you never miss out on the top stories from the team, well, from the teams you already trust.
When the winds rise and the storm threatens, are you ready? This hurricane season faced the fury head-on. RTV's storm navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
Get ready for the new Charlie Banana Show. That's what.
On this day in Bahamian history, on June 24, 2014, Casper William Swinley died in Guernsey, the United Kingdom. In October 1976, then Commander Swinley formed the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, where he became the first Commodore and served from 1976 to 1981. Former Prime Minister Sir Lyndon Pinling mandated Commodore Swinley to design the Royal Bahamas Defense Force to be patterned after the Royal Navy. As a former British naval officer, Swinley as Commodore used his skills to implement systems and structures used in the Royal Navy for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Also in 2014, police announced they launched an investigation to determine the source of a letter that claimed that then Deputy to the Governor-General Dame Marguerite Pinling owed the Princess Margaret Hospital a substantial amount of money. The letter in question was sent to several media houses. The Public Hospitals Authority released a statement that same day saying it had informed the police about the, quote, fraudulent letter. Then in 2015, web shop operator Craig Flowers walked away with a clean record after Court of Appeal judges quashed his convictions and sentences linked to a raid on one of his gambling houses in 2009. In addition to having his convictions quashed that day, the court also ordered that more than $800,000 that was seized from his web shop on April 28, 2009 be returned.
For us, it's a relief. We've been at a handicap here during the whole process of the regulations. We weren't able to really give our company the best opportunity that it deserved during the process. So I think now it's the best thing that has happened is that it allows me now to be a little more assertive as it relates to my company.
Well, to watch that again and for all of today's top stories, visit rnews.bs. Well, that does it for our news at 7. Joining us now is our Talia Hall with the latest headlines. Hey, Talia.
Thanks so much, Varsity. Well, coming up, a brutal heat wave forecasted for the Caribbean this week, and our Jerome Sawyer is still in Canada tonight, telling us about tourism opportunities for the country. Here are your latest headlines. First tonight on our news live at 7:30, tensions in the Middle East are spilling over into major U.S. cities. Cities like New York are now on high alert after Iran's missile strike on a U.S. base in Qatar. Our Timothy Bain is on the ground and shares how Bahamians are coping as security tightens and a travel warning is issued. Also, the escalation between Iran and the United States has global implications. Tonight, we take a deeper look at what led to the latest strikes and why even small nations like the Bahamas could feel the ripple effects. Plus, a violent 24 hours in the capital, police responding to a double shooting in Coconut Grove this afternoon and a deadly drive-by off Market Street last night. We have the latest, and later a police corporal is convicted of planning a deadly attack. This as he was found guilty of plotting the murder of a man. The story when our news live at 7:30 returns.
Get ready for the new Charlie Banana Show. That's right, banana, B-A-N, Nana. You know how to spell banana. You know, right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212 every Friday night.
It's the Charlie Bahamas Show. It's the season rewind of the Charlie Bahamas Show right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212. Ain't no bananas in this, except he did try to get on the show. Hey, where'd you get this outfit from?
Your closet.
Grand Bahama is home to a unique economic arrangement, with that arrangement between government and the Grand Bahama Port Authority under scrutiny as tensions persist.
It's not our direct responsibility to carry out these other things that people think we should be doing.
We need this to be dealt with quicker than quicker and sooner than sooner.
I have a vision for Grand Bahama, and my vision is actually bigger than my grandfather's ever was.
Watch City in Focus, the story of Freeport with Italia Hall, starting August 7th only on RTV.
At Struckham, we're all about peace of mind. With the latest tools and technology like PestPack, managing pest control just got easier. It's simple. Log on to the portal to review past services or monitor trends. Just tap Service Reports to access detailed records and see how we're keeping your business pest-free. You can even customize permissions so your teams in maintenance and health and safety have real-time access to everything they need. With PestPack, you're in control, anytime, anywhere. Get ready to simplify pest management with just a few taps.
Inti Corporation is on the move, day by day, panel by panel. Our commitment to sustainable energy becomes more real. With each milestone, Inti redefines what is possible. Not only are the Lucayas solar power projects on the island of Grand Bahama growing in scale, they are setting a new standard for energy independence in the Bahamas. These state-of-the-art
Welcome to our news. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Italia Hall. Amid ongoing tension in the Middle East, Bahamians in major cities in the United States are feeling a little uneasy. Iran fired back at U.S. military base in Qatar after the United States fired on 3 Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. Now major U.S. cities are on high alert. The New York Police Department has increased patrols at religious cultural sites amid threat concerns, and experts warn Iran is capable of cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure. While there are talks of a ceasefire in the ongoing war, the Bahamian government also issuing a travel warning to Iran, Israel, and the Middle East and the United States. Our News digital reporter Timothy Bain is in New York, one of the cities placed on high alert after the missile attack. He shares his experience.
I'm here downtown on Madison Avenue, and there's not really a police presence. I was in the subway yesterday, maybe a few extra police officers, but I feel safe. There's not really much happening.
Bain visited Times Square at the heart of New York City. Sights from the usually bustling area seem quite normal with little police presence.
Usually, with Times Square, you have a hiding police presence. It's not really going on. So, if you didn't watch the news, you'd be living pretty good because you wouldn't know anything's going on. But, I'm wondering those to make sure nothing is happening. But when we came through customs, they said, just make sure, avoid protests, avoid huge crowds. It might seem rowdy because it's a bit chaotic. Other than that, I feel pretty safe here. I'm here for the NBA draft, so I'm getting ready for that.
All right, thanks for that, Timmy. Continue to stay safe. Well, tensions in the Middle East have once again reached a boiling point, this time with missile strikes between Iran and the United States. Tonight, we break down how we got here and why even a small country like the Bahamas could feel the ripple effects. It's a crisis decades in the making. Before the fighting, there was once quiet cooperation. Back in the 1960s and 70s, Iran and Israel worked together behind the scenes, trading oil and intelligence. But that all changed in 1979, when Iran's Islamic Revolution forced out its leader and took control of the country. The new leadership cut ties with Israel, and the two countries became enemies. Since then, Iran has backed anti-Israel groups, while Israel responded with targeted strikes and secret missions to stop Iran from building nuclear weapons. Tensions hit a new high in 2020 when Iran's top military nuclear scientist was killed. International media outlets say by a remote control machine gun while he was in a car. Then in 2023, Hamas militants stormed into Israel from Gaza, killing over 1,000 people and taking a number of hostages. Iran, a longtime backer of Hamas, offered their support. Now the conflict is escalating again. This as Israel launched attacks on nuclear infrastructure owned by Iran. The U.S. then bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. And on Monday, Iran fired back, launching missiles at U.S. military bases in Qatar. That's where 2 Bahamian aviation students are now stranded, proof that this growing conflict is starting to trigger ripple effects around the world. Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper confirmed government doesn't know how many Bahamians may be in the Middle East, but he says others could be there without making their presence known. Here at home, the government is keeping a close watch watch on what this could mean economically, especially when it comes to oil prices, shipping routes, and supply chains. But for now, government says there's no need to panic, but urges Bahamians to stay alert. Well, police are investigating a shooting in the Coconut Grove community that left 2 teens with gunshot grazes. Both victims, a 16-year-old and a 19-year-old, are receiving treatment and are expected to recover. When our news team arrived on the scene near the corner of Bahama Avenue and Watland Street, we found more than a dozen heavily armed officers attempting to breach an apartment unit inside a 2-story complex. Officers were seen combing through the building and inspecting several vehicles parked on the property as a part of their investigation. Well, police are looking into another homicide, this time on Newbold Street, just off Market Street. Police press liaison officer Chief Superintendent Sharia King says they were alerted to the shooting shortly after 8 Monday evening. She provided these details on the scene.
What our investigators have discovered thus far is that the victim was exiting the yard in which he resided when a Japanese vehicle pulled up, opened fire on the victim, fatally shooting him. We're asking, as we ask every time we have to report from these violent scenes, if there is any information that the general public can provide to the police, to please contact the police at 919, 911, or CID.
It was the second shooting within 12 hours and the second homicide within a day. Earlier that day, police alerted us to a shooting in the area of the Big Pond where 2 men were shot and taken to hospital. Unfortunately, on Monday, a man was shot and killed in the Bamboo Town area. Police do not believe the incidents were linked. King assured police are doing their best.
We at the Royal Bahamas Police Force also understand their concern, but know that the police is relentless in removing the criminal elements from within these communities. And we will continue to do that. We're not going to stop. We're not going to recede. We are going to continue to go after those persons, those perpetrators, those responsible for these violent crimes.
Well, a police corporal lost his job and his freedom after he was convicted of planning a man's murder. A jury found Corporal Darren Davis guilty of planning the December 3, 2022 fatal shooting of Jason Whitfield. The 43-year-old was shot multiple times while in his government-issued car in Garden Hills. Prosecutors allege, and 6 of the 9 jurors accepted, that Davis was motivated by jealousy after his girlfriend left him for Whitfield. It's alleged that Davis stalked Whitfield in the days leading up to his death. Jurors acquitted Davis' cousin, an alleged co-conspirator of the murder plot. The former officer was on bail during his trial. He has been remanded to prison to await his September sentencing. Before Justice Renee McKay, he faces a minimum sentence of 30 years. No one has been charged with carrying out the murder. Well, a brutal heat wave forecasted for the eastern United States and the Caribbean this week, ushering in several days of record high temperatures. The Ministry of Health and the Department of Meteorology warning the public to take precautions. The heat index measures how hot it feels, not the actual temperature, with levels ranging from excessive to extremely severe. Those most at risk include the elderly, children, and people with health conditions. Officials urge the public to stay cool, hydrated, and indoors when possible. Heat-related illnesses can be dangerous and heat strokes can be fatal if not treated right away. However, we saw some nice weather on this Tuesday, but will we see any showers soon? Meteorologist Greg Thompson is live in the Weather Center with your first look at weather. Greg, you spoke about that heat advisory.
Good thing. We're seeing some showers. There's an upper level disturbance moving in our neighborhood, and we have a breeze. So that's shaving a little bit off the temperature, so we're not there with those excessive temperatures, heat temperatures now. So we're still urging you, make sure you stay hydrated and protect yourself from the sunshine if you're on the outdoors. 83 degrees is our current temperature outside our studios. Warm and breezy east-northeast winds, 15 miles per hour. Feels like temperature is at 89. Satellite and radar composite, as I mentioned, an upper level disturbance moving just to the northeast of the Bahamas. That will slide towards our area, and it should be across us by tonight and into tomorrow. That will help to destabilize our atmosphere. So we're looking for some showers and some thunderstorms, so that's not going to give us too much of a problem with the heat, but it will keep us a little bit relaxed with the breeze also helping along the way. That's a quick check on conditions around the islands. Stick with us. There is a system in the Atlantic that the Hurricane Center has just named. We'll tell you more about that later in the forecast.
Still to come in our news, a dip in U.S. appeal is creating a spike in Canadian travelers, and Bahamian officials are taking notice. The Ministry of Tourism now pushing into that market. Our Jerome Sawyer has the story coming up. Also, the investment is pouring in, but is Freeport ready to keep up? Grand Bahama is seeing a major economic surge. Our Candino Knoll speaks to the island's Chamber of Commerce president in tonight's City in Focus. And later, a former cop, former candidate, and now author, Welburn Boodle, is using his experience to guide the next generation. We caught up with him at his recent book launch in Freeport. That's all coming up when our news returns.
Inti Corporation is on the move, day by day, panel by panel. Our commitment to sustainable energy becomes more real. With each milestone, Inti redefines what is possible. Not only are the Lucayas solar power projects on the island of Grand Bahama growing in scale, they are setting a new standard for energy independence in the Bahamas. These state-of-the-art solar farms at the Fairfield and Devon sites, once completed, will harness the power of the sun to generate 9.5 megawatts of clean, sustainable energy. Inti is on the move as a beacon of progress and innovation that is rapidly transforming our energy landscape. Witness the future of sustainable energy unfolding on the island of Grand Bahama as Inti Corporation shines brighter than ever. Inti Corporation, powering your world, powering your future.
Family, how you look so down? Set up all cold and flu, could flip that frown. All the coughing and that runny nose cannot last. You must come back to work and class. Set up all can deal with that fast, yeah. Try set up all cold and flu, daytime and nighttime too. Try Cetamol, cold and flu, and get back to the better you. Available at pharmacies nationwide.
Distributed by Lowe's Wholesale Drug Agencies Limited.
A shift to some unpopular U.S. policies is also shifting travel plans for a large number of Canadians. Already, tourism officials are seeing a spike in numbers. No wonder the ministry's global sales mission is putting a lot of effort that is going into this market. Our Jerome Sawyer is on special assignment in Canada tonight. Let's take a look.
We need you to help us to tell the amazing story of the islands of the Bahamas.
It's the biggest sales pitch to get heads into beds. The Ministry of Tourism's global sales mission descended onto Montreal Monday evening with a full court press of all divisions to showcase the Bahamas to a room of French-Canadian travel agents.
Interaction, that's the key word. Tourism and the business of travel is a very personal business. It's a very hands-on business. But coming to an event like this and meeting the hotelier, meeting the manager of that hotel that you have booked clients to, and your clients have come back to you and said, we had a phenomenal time, we want to go back again next year, makes a difference because it's that relationship now that you're building.
Tourism's General Manager of Sales for Canada and China, McCollum Moss, heads this tactical sales ground game in a city where English is the second language.
Travel is an experience that is not bound by language. It is an experience that is about hospitality, about feeling welcomed, even if you don't understand the words. You can receive the sentiment. And so we're sharing the sentiment.
And if the reactions and feedback are the ministry's measurement of success, the Montreal report card is looking pretty good.
We do many nights, evening like this as a travel agent. And this was one of the best we've had before since many years, with everything, the food, the people, the dance. So it was a very great evening.
Already I love you because you make it big. And that it's very important, the company make it big because they show the quality of your guys.
With the announcement of a lot more airlift from airlines like Air Canada, Sunwing and WestJet, along with the fact that Canadians now seem to be moving away from more American holidays, this market really is prime for growth. Now tonight here in Toronto, tourism officials show off again, this time for media, tourism, travel and leisure partners. In Toronto, reporting for our news, I'm Jerome Sawyer.
All right, thanks so much for that, Jerome. Well, Freeport and Grand Bahama are riding a wave of investment with more than $3.5 billion tied to new and ongoing projects. But are local businesses really ready to catch the wave? In tonight's City in Focus, our news anchor, Candino Knowles, walks and talks with the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce president, who believes the success of this economic surge will depend on how well locals prepare to play their part.
Yeah. Do you remember a time when you couldn't walk?
Find space in there?
Area?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What does it feel like now?
This is a symptom of a lack of engagement, a collective engagement on behalf of the four pillars of commerce.
We're walking through Port Lucaya Marketplace, once the bustling heart of Freeport's tourism scene. Today it's quieter. A strip of souvenir shops, bars, and craft stalls that still work hard to keep the city alive. Chamber President Dylan Knowles says if Freeport is going to thrive again, it'll take more than infrastructure.
Now you have Royal Caribbean or Celebrity Cruise Lines, you have Carnival, you have MSC, all engaging and putting their capital where their mouth is.
It's welcome investment, but Knowles warns it comes with strings. He says when major cruise lines bring their dollars, they also take the biggest cut. Still, signs of hope are surfacing.
It happens in waves, and it touches different people at different times in the wave.
That wave is starting to reach the real estate market, with more locals moving back and expats arriving. But many small businesses, Knowles says, are simply not prepared to keep up. He says years of survival mode have left gaps in training, systems, and basic understanding of how to work with global partners. And that's why the Chamber is on a mission to bring more businesses into the fold.
They need to understand what it is going to take, how much working capital they're going to have. They can't just go downtown every day and buy another 5 widgets to be able to sell tomorrow because they're not going to get their revenue on a daily basis.
Still, the Chamber remains hopeful. And Knowles says as long as businesses are willing to learn and adapt, there's room for all to grow.
Every dollar helps us.
Yeah.
So we're happy to see this happen, and we're happy that as these projects move forward, we'll see more and more foot traffic and therefore more and more engagement by our members and the wider business community.
Reporting for our news, I'm Candino Knowles.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, from a police officer to publishing his story, author Wellborn Boodle is sharing the details from his decades in law enforcement in a new book he hopes will educate future leaders.
Coming up in sports, hear the latest from VJ Edgecombe before his big night here at the Barclays Center. Thea Charlton goes pro, and Tavario Miller continues his season in Argentina.
And hot temperatures on this Tuesday, wondering what else we can expect? Greg is back with the extended weather when our news returns. Stay with us.
When the winds rise and the storm threatens, are you ready? This hurricane season, face the fury head-on. RTV's Storm Navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
Get ready for the new Charlie Banana Show. That's right, Banana, B-A-N, Nana. You know how to spell banana. You know, right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212 every Friday night.
It's the Charlie Bahama Show. It's the season rewind of the Charlie Bahama Show right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212. Ain't no bananas in this, except he did try to get on the show. Hey, where'd you get this outfit from?
your closet.
When the winds rise and the storm threatens, are you ready? This hurricane season, face the fury head-on. RTV's Storm Navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
My name is Trevor Williams.
Welcome to Our Sports, presented by 10th Year Seniors. I'm Ronaldo Dorset. Let's do show. 10YS is here on location at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn to witness history tomorrow night as VJ Edgecombe becomes the latest Bahamian drafted into the NBA.
Edgecombe discussed the gravity of the moment at his pre-draft media availability earlier today.
Yeah, I think it means a lot. Just showing that other kids can make it out. That's the main thing. Just telling kids that they can have confidence and showing them that once you have confidence and once you have faith in your work, it's all going to plan out.
The dynamic guard out of Baylor is expected to hear his name called very early on draft night, making him the 4th Bahamian selected within the last decade.
Yeah, it helped me be a pro. How they approach the game, being on the floor of other pros, while on the floor that's spaced out. So I feel like that played to my strength. So yeah.
His performance at the Scouting Combine led to his ascent up several mock drafts, some projecting him the favorite for the number 3 pick by the Philadelphia 76ers. Scouts rave about his explosive athleticism, off-ball defense, transition impact, and rebounding edge for a guard. The primary areas of refinement are on-ball creation and shot consistency. A consensus 5-star recruit, Edgecombe averaged 15 points, 5.6 boards, 3.2 assists, and 2.1 steals per game as a freshman, earning Big 12 Freshman of the Year honors. Anthea Charlton had a 2025 season that announced her presence to the world stage. The next logical step, head to that stage and compete against the pros.
Charlton has reportedly signed to Preeminent Sports Group, marking the end of her collegiate eligibility. She delivered a breakout 2025 season for the Florida Gators, setting multiple school and national records, including a blistering 10.87 seconds in the 100 meters, making her the 2nd fastest Bahamian ever. Now turning to the professional ranks and the dawn of a new chapter in her career, attention shifts to the World Athletics Championships this fall in Tokyo.
National team standout Tavario Miller continues his season in Argentina, and his team is facing an uphill battle in the semifinals.
Miller and Kiesma lost the first game of the La Liga National Semifinals to Boca 70-58. He finished with 8 points and a team-high 10 rebounds. After finishing the season as the 4th seed, Kiesma defeated Obras in a 3-game sweep in the quarterfinals. Miller averaged 11.5 points and 6.5 rebounds per game this season.
That'll do it for Our Sports. This is 10YS, so we're just about 24 hours away from VJ Edgecombe making Bahamian basketball history. And as you can see behind me, he's not one of the pictures featured outside Barclays Center. That'll all change tomorrow night.
Still ahead on our news tonight, Till the Road You've Trod. That's the name of a powerful new book by Grand Bahamian author Walburn Boodle, who recently launched his book on the island. And Greg is back with your extended weather forecast when our news continues. Stay with us.
When the winds rise and the storm threatens, are you ready? This hurricane season, face the fury head-on. RTV's Storm Navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
Get ready for the new Charlie Banana Show. That's right, banana, B-A-N, Nana. You know how to spell banana. Right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212 every Friday night.
It's the Charlie Bahama Show. It's the season rewind of the Charlie Bahama Show right here on Cable Bahamas Channel 212. Ain't no bananas in this, except he did try to get on the show. Hey, where'd you get this outfit from?
Your closet.
When the winds rise and the storm threatens, are you ready? This hurricane season, face the fury head-on. RTV's Storm Navigator with me, Jasmine Brown, and meteorologist Greg Thompson as we reveal the truth behind the storms with expert insights and life-saving tips. When the next storm threatens, will you be prepared? Because when nature unleashes its fury, knowledge is your strongest shield. Stay safe, stay informed, only on RTV.
My name is Heatwave Williams. I've been a live fiber customer since March 2024. The installation process was seamless, effortless, and extremely fast. The gentlemen that came to the installation were very helpful, reliable, very knowledgeable, and the time allocated to do the installation was shorter than the time specified. Yeah, the previous provider I had, I noticed that.
This is our news. Welcome back. Just when we thought we were going to close out June with no systems out there in the Atlantic, Andrea popped up. Basically, a very weak system out there. Tried to get its act together. It's too far north. It's actually moving into some cooler waters and an hostile environment. Not doing much in terms of any real damage out there in the open Atlantic. We call this basically a fish storm. The 5 o'clock position places Andrea at 37.9 north, 47.4 west. Winds up to 40 miles per hour with gusts to 52. It's racing towards the northeast at 20 miles per hour, so it's going to be out of our neck of the woods in a short while. We're not going to really worry too much about that. Andrea is going to be very short-lived and should get further into the open Atlantic and cooler waters. The rest of the tropics, quiet. A couple of tropical waves moving across tropical belt. Out there in the Atlantic, the Caribbean, quiet. Gulf of Mexico, also quiet. And closer to home, we have an upper level low that's spinning. It's going to drop across the area, helping to destabilize our atmosphere. So we're looking for an uptick in some shower and thunderstorm activity. And that should take us through the remainder of the week. High pressure in charge at the surface, going to keep us a little bit on the breezy side, so we're not going to see too much in terms of any real significant feels like temperatures over the next several days. Future forecast showing quiet conditions, but of course, as I mentioned, that upper level low spinning, you notice a bit of a spin there. A lot of moisture moving into our area through Wednesday, and as I mentioned, that should take us through Thursday, with most of the activity moving across Florida at that time frame. Boating forecast, northwest and central Bahamas, caution flag in place, winds east to southeast, 15 knots, seas running 3 to 5 feet over open waters. Southeast Bahamas, caution flag also in place here. East to south easterly flow, 15 to 20 knots expected. Seas a little choppier, running 4 to 7 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In the extended forecast, that upper level low will keep us in a little bit of a wet pattern, taking us through the end of the week. Some residual moisture will hang over until early next week, but those temperatures will be back near the 90-degree mark for the beginning of next week. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
All right, thanks so much for that, Greg. Well, well-known Grand Bahama resident, former political candidate, and former police officer is turning the page. Author Welborn Boodle recently hosted a book launch and signing in the Raven Mall in Freeport for his new book, Tell the Road You've Trod, Enhancing Law Enforcement in the Bahamas. Boodle believes the book is a valuable tool for the next generation of Bahamian leaders, especially those in law enforcement. We caught up with Boodle at the signing.
I launched in Abaco during the Easter break, the Easter holiday. It went very well, and I'm excited now to be doing it in Freeport. And you know, this journey took me from Abaco onto the Royal Bahamas Police Force into New Providence and to Grand Bahama. And it tells a lot about the history during my travel, during independence, and doing my work on the Royal Bahamas Police Force and crime scene investigation. So it tells a whole lot, and it's a good read for person, especially for your young law enforcement officers who join today. It's good for them to read it and to see what happened, you know, during that time.
The book is now available on Amazon.
But you can always give it to father, give it to someone, let them read it. And there's a lot of history in here also on my family background, family in Abaco, Grand Bahama. It's a lot, and even relations in Eleuthera. So it's a great read.
All right, congrats to Mr. Boodle. And with that, we thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.